Hi, I'm Dr. Tiffany Brown-Bush, and I want to welcome you to the Lyme Hackathon as well as to Lyme Awareness Month. And I'm here to share a few of the tips that I have used with my clients as well as in my own journey in going into remission with Lyme disease. I didn't know I had Lyme for the longest time. I didn't know what was going on, just like so many of us in this community. It took a while to figure out what was happening. It ended up being, Babesia and Bartonella and Ehrlichia, as well as Borreliosis. It's such the same story that I hear from so many people that I work with in this community. And it took me unpeeling each aspect of this with the biggest symptom in mind, and chasing down that particular infection as I went to the next infection and the next infection, and really just taking my time with the process. So I have ideas. I have lots of opinions about all kinds of things you could do and some of my favorite hacks, but I'll try to keep it simple and just give you the mindset of how you're supposed to go about this, because what I'm finding in the community is there isn't clear thinking on how do you approach this. So first, you want to do two things. You want to reduce your inflammation. Okay, so we really need to reduce the inflammatory process, and we need to make sure that you're able to detox and drain. So in the way that I've been trained, and I've had the privilege and blessing of being trained by some really amazing heavyweights in the Lyme community, is you need to open detoxification pathways, okay? So that's sweating, that's lymphatic flushing, moving the lymphatic system. That's elimination routes. Are you having regular bowel movements? Are you urinating frequently throughout the day? Deep breathing, making sure that you are cleansing constantly and detoxing. If you can't sauna and get an infrared sauna, and make sure that you're able to eliminate, then Epsom salt baths. If you're dealing with POTS, then make sure you're definitely just doing lymphatic movement. So often when people come to my office, they come and they say, I felt better, and I just put them on a vibe plate and did a lot of stimulation to their system and got their lymphatic system moving. So often we're not detoxing. Now, that's not killing Lyme. That's opening the pathway so that when you get into the killing process, you can actually eliminate properly. The last thing you want to be doing is retoxing. And in reducing inflammation is about that very same idea of being toxic, right? So with Bartonella, which is what my primary infection has really been Bartonella. That was the one that gave me the hardest time. We tend to have really toxic floors. Basically, our terrain becomes super toxic. So the understanding in the Lyme healing community is that with Bartonella, you're probably going to have a lot of environmental toxins that you're not cleaning out, mycotoxins that you're not detoxing. And so Bartonella likes that dirty floor to exist in. So you want to make sure you're just detoxing. You're supporting hepatic function, liver function, getting things out of the system, binding things properly out of the system, using heat. I was always able to use heat. I was always able to get in the sauna. I was always able to take hot showers and Epsom salt baths. So if you're able to do that, binding and eliminating, just to make sure that when it's time to kill, you have those pathways open and the inflammatory processes are reduced. That's a huge piece of that first part. Watching what you're eating and drinking clean water and having clean air, all of those things really reduce the inflammatory process in the system, okay? So before I try to do much of anything with people, when they come to me, unless they're super, super sick, right? And they're like, I have to go on herbals, or they're already doing antibiotics, I start with just drainage and inflammation reduction. You can do that for the first month to 6 weeks before you actually start the killing process. And if you've never done that, then you want to make sure you do add that in. And then the other thing before I wrap is the neurological piece of this. That's a big piece, I think, of what I'm able to add in this community is not just tapping, because tapping is a way to help reverse nervous system locks and reversals, but also brain spotting is a way to get deep into the midbrain and the system and help the system with trauma. And then QNRT. Those three things are huge in my practice. They've been huge for me in my own recovery journey and getting my brain back on track. When my brain gets off track these days for one reason or another, I'm able to use these methodologies to help me. And that energy is nervous system rebalancing energy and getting deep into the system. So I would recommend that if you're not doing some sort of energetic psychology, energetic resetting, you really have to get that going before you get into the process of actually pursuing the infections, okay? Because there's lots of infections, there's all kinds of things that are probably going to be there. Once your system changes, it's an opportune environment for these different things. And knowing that your system is reducing the inflammation, reducing the toxicity, detoxing properly, and has its nervous system like on track will allow you to do exactly what you're trying to do, which is just to heal, just to get back to who you've been, right? So be well, apply these things, but be well, love on yourself, and know this above all else. This trial, this tribulation, these struggles, it's all for your testimony. You just have no idea what works are happening inside of you, but it's meant for a bigger good. I know that to be true. So be well.